Asphalt 6 Adrenaline was developed by Gameloft Barcelona and published by Gameloft. It originally hit iOS in December 2010, but the real magic trick was how quickly it was ported everywhere else. If you played the Java version, you weren't just jumping into random races. You had a career mode. You had to race your way through multiple leagues, winning every cup and tackling specific challenges to reach one ultimate title, the Lord of Asphalt. Reaching 100% completion was a badge of honor on old phones. You had the standard normal race, starting from the back of the grid. You had Beat 'em All, which was all about wrecking opponents. But the Java version had an exclusive mode you couldn't find on the iPhone at the time wanted. You had to complete laps without getting busted or hitting roadblocks. It brought a whole need for speed vibe to the mobile racing scene. And of course, there was the signature feature Adrenaline mode. You'd fill your nitro meter, hit the boost, and suddenly your car was an indestructible wrecking machine. The screen would get that cool blue tint, and you could just plow through traffic. On a device with 1 MB of RAM, seeing that speed blur was mind-blowing. You might think a Java game would have 2 or 3 cars. Not Asphalt 6. Gameloft squeezed 42 licensed vehicles into this game. We're talking about the Bugatti Veyron 16.4 Grand Sport, the Ferrari 458 Italia, the Aston Martin 177, and even bikes like the Ducati. It was a car enthusiast's dream. You raced in Tokyo, Los Angeles, Moscow, and even New Orleans. The developers used every trick in the book to make these environments feel fast. Sure, looking back now, the draw distance is short, and the pedestrians are just colorful blobs. But back then, sliding your Nokia sideways to drift through a pixelated Monte Carlo felt like the future. One of the coolest features was the multiplayer. Asphalt 6 allowed for local multiplayer. You could race against a friend via Bluetooth, sitting in the back of the class or on a bus. Challenging your buddy to a one-on-one duel modathat was peak social gaming. Looking at the critical reception, it wasn't perfect. Critics at the time, like Slide to Play, noted that while the series looked better than ever, the gameplay was starting to feel a bit stagnant, stuck in second gear, as they said. Compared to the massive leap from Asphalt 4 to 5, number 6 felt more like a refinement. Honestly, for Java users, we were just happy to have a racing game that didn't lag every 2 seconds. Asphalt 9 Legends is a massive, online, live service game. Back in 2011, Asphalt 6 was the complete package. It didn't need an internet connection to give you that adrenaline rush. It was just you, a plastic keypad, and the open road. Among the countless titles that filled the catalogs of Gameloft and EA Mobile, there was a specific franchise that stood out for its sheer absurdity and charm: Shikari Shambu. For the uninitiated, Shikari Shambu is a hilarious parody of the action-adventure archetypes we saw in movies like Indiana Jones. He's a bumbling, mustachioed adventurer who looks like he stumbled out of a jungle and onto a snowboard. While other games went for realistic graphics, Shambu went for slapstick. Shikari Ski takes our clumsy hero out of the jungle temples and drops him on a snowy mountain. This isn't a realistic simulation. It's an arcade-style, third-person racer where the goal is less about technique and more about causing absolute mayhem. You have a time limit and a health bar. That slows you down. Falling off the cliff and game over. But here is where the ski challenge gets unique. Your main objective isn't just to reach the finish line. It's to hit the other skiers. As you weave down the mountain, you'll encounter other colorful characters. If you collide with them, Shambu does a funny somersault, knocks them out, and you get a speed boost. To keep the adrenaline pumping, the slopes are littered with power-ups. You've got your standard stopwatches to freeze time, or rather, freeze your opponents. You've got turbo boosts to turn Shambu into a human missile. And let's talk about the level design. You aren't just skiing down the same boring white hill. You'll race through icy caverns, dodge yetis, and navigate narrow bridges. The objective structure is a mission-based system. You don't just play to survive, you have to knock out a specific number of skiers, collect a certain amount of gems, or finish under a par time to unlock the next stage. Shikari Shambu's Ski Challenge made the most of every pixel. The colors are vibrant. The snow actually looks like snow on a small LCD screen. The animations are fluid and goofy. When Shambu wipes out, his eyes go cross, and his limbs flail. It's pure cartoon physics. Unlike the first game, which was basically a brawler set in modern-day Quahog, Family Guy 2, released by Glue around 2010 for phones like the Sony Ericsson Satio, decided to go full Back to the Future. The official description is wild. Quote, "A master plan gone awry sends Stewie and Brian hurtling back through time. You play as everyone's favorite evil baby and the anthropomorphic alcoholic dog. Stewie's plan, whatever it was, blows up in his face, and suddenly they aren't in Quahog anymore. They have to chase Peter through the modern city, but the levels get weird fast. We're not just talking about fighting fat guys at the Drunken Clam. We're talking about the Old West and ancient Rome. This wasn't a console game. You couldn't buy a cartridge at GameStop. You either had to buy it via slow, expensive WAP download over 2G, or you had to sideload it using a data cable and a sketchy website in 2011. Once smartphones, iPhones, and Androids took over, Java games vanished. The touchscreen killed the keypad brawler. Today, Family Guy 2 is abandonware. It's lost media for most people. You can find the JR files floating around on old forums and getting them to run on a modern screen. You don't just have a ray gun. This is a brawler with attitude. You've got melee weapons like baseball bats. You've got shotguns for the ranged kills. And then there's the secret weapon bottles of Ipecac. For the non-parents in the room, Ipecac is a syrup that induces vomiting. Stewie can literally throw a bottle and enemies stop to puke their guts out. That is the most Family Guy mechanic ever programmed into a video game. Imagine worms, but instead of detonating sheep and bazookas, you're armed with lukewarm H2O and a severe dislike for playground bullies. This isn't just a game, it's a revenge fantasy about wet socks and soggy t-shirts. You are the Splash Bandit. That name alone tells you everything you need to know. You run a discount retaliatory measures service. Forget saving the princess or stopping a nuclear war. Your mission is sacred: to bring moist justice to the downtrodden kids of the local parks. A high-velocity water balloon. What sets Super Water Bomber apart from other artillery games is its tone. D-Chalk understood that mobile games needed personality. The game oozes that dry, almost juvenile wit that made Worms famous. As you progress through the 128 levels, the narrative actually evolves. The bullies start off clueless, wondering why they keep getting drenched. But eventually, they realize they're being hunted, and they start fighting back. It turns into a turf war for the water fountains. Super Water Bomber is a turn-based strategy game, but with a twist. You aren't just glued to one spot like in some artillery games. You can move freely around the level until an enemy spots you. Once those eyes are on you, every step you take reduces the amount of movement you have left for that turn. It adds a fantastic risk-reward system. Aiming is handled with a classic trajectory crosshair. You hold down the button to charge the power gauge and release to soak your target. But strategy matters. A direct hit to the head does massive damage. Hitting their feet just makes them angry and they will move. And yes, the enemies fight back. They throw exploding cans of soda and eventually unleash attack dogs on you. You have TNT balloons for massive splash damage. Use a timed bomb that detonates after a countdown, allowing you to escape the blast radius. My personal favorite is the scatter water bomb. You aim it into the air, and it explodes into a shower of smaller bombs, raining down hellfire hellwater on anyone below. These tools turn the simple aim and shoot into genuine puzzles. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this trip back into mobile gaming history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out more retro game content.